What do I need to?
Out and asked if you had read the indictment. You said you read it word for word, page for page, right?
I did. I keep up. I love Jackson.
Even though they've not been in court and they've not been found guilty, it's just an indictment at this
point. They don't see it. My first statement was, think about your family. Think about your family. Put your family first.
I never thought in a million years we would have been put in the situation that we were in. Never. Because we went through our whole career doing the right thing.
It's utterly ridiculous to me. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Othor Cain Show. I'm Othor Cain. Glad to have you here. We apologize for coming on a little late tonight. We were having some technical difficulties on my end. As most of you are aware, I am in Minneapolis, and so we were trying to get connected to the Wi-Fi. Glad to have you here. Got a great show ahead, great conversation ahead. We are back dealing with issues in Canton, Mississippi. Coming up in just a moment, we'll have Chip Matthews, who is running for mayor in the city of Canton. We want to talk about all things Canton, and we'll do that in just a second. First, though, I do want to take this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for your support of this broadcast. Thank you for your support of this live stream. We certainly could not do this without you. So we are grateful. We're grateful for every sponsorship. We're grateful for every hello, every outreach. We are absolutely grateful for that. I want to go ahead right now and jump into our conversation with Chip, because we've got lots to talk about. So Chip Matthews is originally from Canton. He is a Cantonian. Moved away. He's back in Canton now. He is running for mayor. I should say running for mayor again.
I have not moved away ever.
Never left. Oh, I saw that on Debbie's page. She said you left and you can't believe everything that you read. Nonetheless, Chip is here with us tonight. He is the Republican candidate for mayor in the city of Canton. Chip, good evening to you, sir.
I'm doing all right. How are you doing today, Othor?
I am doing well, man. Thank you for being here. And let's just jump right into our conversation. I often tease Chip that he has a lot of things in his head. And so getting what's in his head out to what's actually happening, that's kind of what we want to do today. I think I want to start, though, Chip, with you tonight. Why are you running for mayor?
Because I can make a change. I remember you grew up in Canton. You remember when it was a town full of businesses and everything around the square was what it was. We didn't have a lot of crime. It was a great place to. I constantly tell people it's a lot like Mayberry, but a lot of people don't understand that. But it was just a quiet little town that you grew up in at one time.
You're right. So I'm glad you said that. So let's just start right there. So okay. When I remember about the square, that it was all white, right? It was was white. You want to get back to that?
Well, I mean, and Hickory Street was black, and my family owned grocery stores on Hickory Street. We were right next door to the movie theater. I used to have to go over to y'all's. I would refer to as y'all's movie theater, because basically Kent was this side of the tracks and that side of the tracks kind of town. And you'd go to the movie theater. I had to sit upstairs in y'all's movie theater.
I think you probably should stop saying y'all's.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I understand that, but I mean,
I don't think that served you well, man. I think you should stop saying that.
As you look back here on the side, it says race is not counted, in an election. But back in the,
I think you probably just received or you just discounted some votes that you would have gotten by saying y'all.
Oh yeah.
You
Well, what I'm
shouldn't
saying
have
is,
done that.
Canton was a unique town that growing up, and there was this side of the tracks and that side of the tracks. And our family had grocery stores on Hickory Street. We had them on Hickory and Short Hickory, if you know where Short Hickory is. And then we built a lot of those stores, and that's where I come from. I came from hanging out down there growing up. I remember when Elmore James, his uncle, had a TV shop, repair shop across the street, and he was learning to play the slide guitar and stuff like that. I remember all these little things that were different. There were characters like Alto. Do you remember Alto? Are you that old? How old are you?
I don't remember Alto.
Alto was a gentleman that scooted around on his butt around town, just to tell you the truth. He was
Well, let's get to why you want to be mayor. Talk about that. Why do you want to be mayor?
I want to see Canton safe again. I want to stop the killing. I want to stop the gunfire. I sleep to gunfire. We go to sleep to gunfire every night. It's the lullaby of the evening is gunfire. I mean, last night, 60 shots right off Center Street. It's always going on, gunfire. Then the police, it's weak right now. It's weak.
How does the mayor stop the gunfire?
How does the mayor start the gunfire? Well, one, we've got to get more bodies on the streets. We've got to find people. I don't believe in the camera things. I believe that people need to be on the streets. And if it's like lights and people being there, it's scattered. The roaches will scatter. You can find the crooks if you're out there where the crooks are. I mean, that's what it's going to take. You're going to have to be in these neighborhoods. They're going to have to know your presence and know you're there, whatever it takes. If we need a posse, like Gunsmoke, we need a posse. I don't know what it is, but we've got to get control of the 14-year-olds that are going around killing people and shooting people in Canton, Mississippi. It's ridiculous.
Right.
It's same in Jackson.
Right. But let me put the question back to you. What is the mayor's responsibility as it relates to the shootings and the killings in Canton?
In Canton, the mayor is the police commissioner. That is the way it's set up. It's been set up that all along. So it is his responsibility to make sure whatever it takes to make that town safe. I don't care if you have to fire everybody in City Hall to put that many cops on the ground. We've got to have that many policemen. We've got to have people in the streets who can protect us. Without a safe city, we have no city. And we have got to make it safe again. And every night you worry about the guns, you worry about the violence. Safe. I mean, we don't have any businesses. There are very few businesses in Canton. And so we've got to do something about that. But money doesn't go to where it's not safe. As you know, in Jackson, the underbelly of the world is going away. And you have got to get people in town to make it safe so that businesses will want to come there. And you're looking right now, time and opportunity is now, because there's $1 billion being spent in Madison County. $1 billion being spent in Madison County.
Before we go there, though, and there is money there, and you're right. But before we go there, I want to put a button on this crime thing and the mayor's responsibility, because certainly not firing everybody at City Hall is going to solve.
No, that's not it.
So talk to me in realistic terms. If you were mayor, what would you be doing right now to get a grip on crime?
Well, I would actually be in a car riding around, just to tell you the truth. Everybody knows I have a bulletproof vest. I'm kind of famous for that. But I would go out and start looking in the streets, find this crime. You've got to go find it. You've got to have a presence.
But you're not a cop. You're not a police officer. You're not a sworn officer. You're not authorized to do that. And that is unrealistic to think that that's the mayor's job, to ride the streets and to solve crime. That's unrealistic.
It worked for Frank Melton.
It did not work for Frank Melton. That's a lie. It did not. It got him in a whole hell of a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the trouble. I'm talking about he was out there in the street and he was looking.
He did nothing. He did absolutely nothing for crime in Jackson.
No, he didn't. It was the beginning of the crime, and it got worse. And as you know,
but forget the lofty stuff, Chip. Come on, let's talk about you and what you would do.
And when I tell you I'm going to be on the streets looking for crime, I'm going to be looking for it and reporting it, because we need the citizens to report it. The citizens are scared to report it. The citizens are scared to talk to the police because this crime is at a level that is unreal. Now, you've heard the stories. Lawrence Blackman has gone through them, where people are getting shot and showing the picture to the victims of the crime before anybody else has seen it. You know, before the police have been to the scene and told them that they have a death in the family. We got a gang problem. We've got a problem, and we go.
Lay out a plan. Talk to me about a plan. Lay out a plan about fighting crime.
Well, we've got to go and we've got to create money. We've got to talk. Look, people don't realize Capitol Police could come to Canton also. You could go get. You've got to bring the resources into the community to stop this. Lawrence Blackman's been talking to the Attorney General, talking to everybody.
We're not talking about Lawrence. We're talking about Chip.
No, I am talking. He talks the same thing I'm talking. You have got to go get.
Lawrence is not running for mayor. I'm talking about your plan.
I am running for mayor, and that is what you got to go do. You've got, I have a plan that you would bring in the Capitol Police and start working on the problem. I got a guy that wants to come in and be the police chief and help fix everything. Former FBI agent, just retired. We've got to bring people in who know what they're doing and get it done. And we cannot put our heads in Canton. You put your head in the sand and you don't worry about crime and you don't worry about this. You just say, that's what is going to happen. We've got to do better than that. We've got to do better. And we have to not just sweep it under the rug. So your first 100 days in office, what would be your rollout to fix crime? Man, Trump has made it rough on everybody by saying you got to do it in 100 days. But my first thing would be I would get in there to the police department, find out the good pieces, find out the bad pieces, and then start working on building better leadership inside the police department so that the police department can do what they want to do. Make sure they have the tools that they need to do. I don't believe in just sticking cameras up. Some people have said that, but that's not the way to do it. You got to go. You got to get in the streets and go see what's going on. You got to talk to the people. You got to, like, for instance, it's like I've said, you ride through some of the neighborhoods, the guy wave at you, say, stop here. I got drugs for you. I got drugs for you. And I'm going, I'm not buying drugs. I'm out here trying to campaign for office. And I mean, that's everywhere. They're out there. It's all out there. And if you don't address the crime, you're not going to fix the crime.
Right.
I mean,
so I think what I'm looking for.
I mean, if you're looking for some magical answer on how to stop crime, it's going to take.
I'm not looking for a magical answer, but I do think that I'm looking for a realistic answer. I'm looking for Chip to tell me about a plan that he will put in place to stop crime. I'm looking for maybe an increase in police personnel. I'm looking for maybe an increase in what you're paying police. I'm looking for maybe not only increasing personnel, but setting up plans to really combat it, because you can't do it single-handedly. So I'm looking for something really concrete and tangible.
Well, what you're looking for is for more boots on the ground. The only way to get the boots on the ground is to quit wasting money at City Hall. There is some money laying around up there that we spend on an assistant and a COO and this, that, and the other. What do we need a COO? The mayor and the board of aldermen run the city. We don't need a COO. We have a city clerk. But we have a COO and we have a mayor's assistant. And that money is being wasted because it needs to be spent on cops. We need cops on the ground. Everything that's being wasted, and you got to go through the government and find out who all's hired and what they're doing. But the reality is you got to get rid of the waste in order to have the money for the police. I mean, we wreck cars every day. I don't know why we don't work with Nissan and drive Nissans for everybody. I don't know what that is, but inside the structure, it seems like we don't take care of the resources we need to fix it. I mean, if you go down to the police station, that's a hellhole even when you walk in the door and look around in there. And the fire stations have gotten dirty and this, that, and the other, but you got to fix all of this. You got to start at the bottom. You got to clean it. You got to clean the house too. We got too many people that are they can't do the job that they've been hired to do. We have a family problem. We have a problem with everybody's related to everybody in the city. And I know you're going to have that in a small town, but when the supervisor also hires the nepotism 3 and 4 deep underneath him, what do you do? What do you do? You got to start firing people and bring in some people who can work and who are not scared to go out on the streets and who will talk to these people.
Right.
You got to talk to the community.
Can you cite nepotism in the police department? Can you cite that?
Can I incite it? What did you say?
Can you cite it? Can you identify? Can you lift it up? Can you share nepotism that's happening in the Canton Police Department with us?
Well, let's just put it at one time. I don't know everybody there, but at one time, the chief and the assistant chief were related. They were kin. And also everybody's kin to the board of aldermen. Everybody's kin. I mean, you really just can't do nothing about it in a city, but everybody in your family in Canton and in Madison County has a job that is performed by a family member. They make sure they get their job. They move them up.
How do you know that? Can you identify that? Can you cite it? Can you name it?
I don't know. Let me ask you this. If I start citing it, how many votes are I going to lose because I take out a whole family of 20 or a whole family of 30? But
I'm not really concerned about that. I'm concerned more about I'm concerned more about the accusations that you make without having the ability to back it up. You toss out all of this stuff. You say all of these things, but you bring nothing to the table for proof.
Because every time I put in a public records request, they deny it. They throw it away. They don't do it. They treat you different than they treat me. That's just the way it is.
I've never put in a public records request, so I don't know that they would treat me any differently than they treat you.
I have sent more public records requests to ask for payroll records and this to where I could trace people, look at their addresses. That's all public information, and it's hard to get some of the time. And that's, until I can get in there and get my hands on it, I can't tell you. But everybody in town knows everybody's related, and that's just a fact. Some people say that the criminals on the streets are even related to the police officers doing the work. And that's why people don't get arrested. You tell me. I mean, you don't see anybody getting arrested. Crimes aren't being solved in Canton. And that's a fact.
So I guess I can't go on theories and accusations. I gotta go on proof. I gotta go on facts. But speaking of facts, let's talk a little bit about and I want to get to the corruption in just a little bit, but I want to go to the school. You made a statement that you think Madison County should take over Canton schools.
I said that Madison County, the structure of Madison County, would be a good deal for Canton if Canton continues to have an F and a D. I mean, we're not getting up. But then again, I've talked to people that have told me just recently, they said, you're going to have so much money, you can hire better people to run it. But we got to get out of the alderman and the mayor have been appointing people that can't get the job done. And we elect one, but we have to appoint 4. And if we can't get 4 people that can get it done, I mean, currently we just extended a contract for a guy for another 2 years. And on his watch, he had an employee who was changing the grades. I mean, hold somebody accountable somewhere. I mean, that's just the fact.
Right. Go back to the question, though. Was the statement about Madison taking over Canton schools?
It was about Madison County, the home office taking over Canton schools. Yes. And the way I look at it is you have the money bargaining chip, but you got to bargain to make sure that they build a new school out on 43 to help that relieve that valve over there off of Yandle Road. You got to build another school out by Lake Caroline to relieve those people. All our schools, we don't need. Gladstad already has portable buildings at it. Well, how safe is a portable building if a shooting rampage is to occur or something? People need to be safe. Kids need to be taken care of. We got to quit stealing from our kids. And in Canton proper, if you shrunk the school district to the size of Canton proper, you probably couldn't fill up a school because Canton proper is a retirement city. Wouldn't you say? I mean.
So who's stealing from the kids?
Who's stealing from kids?
From the kids. You said we got to stop stealing from the kids. Who's stealing from the kids?
We steal their education when we change test scores. We steal their education when we spend all this money on the top dogs, the superintendent, and all these people that don't get their job done. And we have probably more management running the school than money making it to the kids to get educated. And I mean, that's because Canton has raised taxes. Canton gets money from all over the place, and everybody does whatever they can to make sure that they're going to Germany.
Tell me how you know that is true, that we spend more money on administrative salaries than we spend on educating children. Give me one piece of information to prove your theory.
Okay. As far as proving the theory and grabbing everybody's paycheck and look at them, no, I hadn't done that. I don't have to do that.
So you're just making these statements. So Chip,
okay.
And I'm trying to be as honest and as transparent with you as I know how. You make these statements, you toss all of this stuff in the air, but you can't back any of it up. And you want people to vote for you?
Well, look at it this way. When you and I started hanging out a little bit was when Cassandra Williams was going through, she was doing a good job, and she was flat run off. And all the inside stuff of somebody wanted to get a promotion, this, that, and the other, who was an alderman, this, that, and the other, that was all going on. And everybody will say something like that's, you don't want to get into another conspiracy theory. But we had alderman who was a teacher who choked a student. Okay, we had that went on. We have a person on the school board that was fired from the school at one time for having sex on campus. Not with kids, but he was having sex on campus during business hours. And he's on the school board now. What do you do about all of this? I mean, you hear the little things and the little rumblings, and the family's taking care of everybody. But if you don't get in there and start trying to take the pieces apart, you're never going to know. And everybody knows this is going on, except for you. It's all hidden. Everything's swept on the rug. Canton is a small town that looks at everything. This is on anywhere in town. We're not going to get into that. We're good people. We're Cantonians, and you don't need to bring that on somebody else's family, because that's just wrong. And that's the way the grandmothers and all that have taught us, to be respectful of other families and don't talk about these things. But the problem in Canton is we've not been talking about the crime and the things going on that we need to get fixed, the flooding. I mean, we know we have money and it disappears. Look at all the aldermen that are already been sentenced to jail, and then some that are sentenced to be waiting to be sentenced right now in the Rudy Warnock trial. They got 2. We've learned in Jackson it takes 4 people on a board. Is there possibly 2 more aldermen on that board that were bought by Rudy Warnock? We don't know. But we lost people that were in positions of power in Canton, and we wanted to believe in them. And from Vicky McNeil got busted. You had school board members get busted and go to jail. And all of these people admitted to their crimes and resigned. And then it went on some more. And that's a fact. These are facts. We've lost half our aldermen over the last few years over crime. I mean, it's the truth. Is it not?
But how do we go from the school and spending more money on administrative salaries than we spend on educating our children to this?
Okay, well, let's go back to it. Some of those schools, one of those, Eric Gilkey, one of the people that have been indicted, he worked at CMU, but before that, he worked at the school. All these people are interconnected. If you work in government and you can work at the school, you work at the school. Even Paul Griffin works at the school in Canton. He's a supervisor, but he works at the Canton public schools. You know, everybody is intertwined and everything is interlaced, and it's just it doesn't make sense. And there's smoke, and you're wanting fire. But the smoke has got to be looked at. And that's what I want to do. I want to go through all of this and figure it out. I mean, everybody talks and everybody says these things are going on. But once again, nobody's going to step up and do it. Nobody's going to step up and say the things that are actually going on and what they're doing. They don't talk about it. And you know that. You're from Canton.
Yeah.
They hide in circles.
I guess I'm struggling with, you toss all these things out, but there's no proof of anything.
Well, there's theory and innuendos. And and there are a lot of things that you cannot do unless they let you in. And until you can get in there, get into City Hall and see what's going on, you can't fix anything. Because, you heard Truly on the stand the other day. I didn't know we were supposed to add that section to the thing. And when we annexed that area, that's insane. By statute, they should have done it within 10 days of annexing that area. We know Truly is smarter than that. He didn't. Playing dumb for him is not a game. That was ridiculous for him to get on the stand and say that. The only thing he said that was the truth was, I'm a white Republican. And that was it. I thought Lisa Ross did a good job on him. Oh, yeah, she won't know.
Speaking of Truly, you tend to blame a lot on Truly. You think Canton is in the shape that it's in because of Truly?
Yes, Truly has been there since 72. He's been in politics for 20 years. He got in. He was the alderman at large when Alice Scott went in, and he is really, he has said publicly that he wants, like when you brought up that the Canton Square was white, he wants the Canton Square to be black. That's what he wants. And all I want is anybody that has money and wants to open up a business, black or white, to get in those buildings and get on the square and watch that city explode. That city is going to explode regardless. And we have to work on the infrastructure. We got to work on the through the hollow all the way to the interstate. We got to do all of that. That's got to be done.
Right.
And
let me say this. I believe that part of the reluctancy that you're going to get from African American voters is that they don't believe that you are for all of Canton.
Well, if you're not for,
you started this interview off saying y'all, right?
I say y'all. I say y'all because you and I usually talk y'all and them, and and everybody know, and me. I used to own the Party House on 18. I used to own the 105. I've been around for 100 years, dealing with the black community and the white community. It's fill it up and make some money. That's what you do. I can fill up that square and I can make some money. I can get businesses there, black and white.
How can you do that? Tell me a plan. Lay it out.
What I'll do for starters is I'll have and I did this when I had my restaurant on the square. I had one sheets on every building on the square and through the hollow.
Why is the restaurant not there now? What happened?
What happened in my building was people started buying up buildings because I was doing the spiel, telling people what we needed to do. And then Eddie Briggs bought the old Ben Franklin's on the corner. Then the lady that owned Capital Body Shop, who has more money than she can look at, they bought the building next door with the Tomahawk and kicked the florist out. And gave them 30 days and said, get out. And then I thought they were coming for me. And then they went and bought my building out from under me. And why would I was renting the building for $600 a month? Do you want the expenses of a 200-year-old building, the roof and all of that? I could have tried to beat them up with a wallet, but I couldn't have beat their wallet. They just had too much money. So it was better for me just to go home and lick my wounds and wait on something else. That's the way they
do. You have a business in Canton now?
Do what? No, I do not have a business in Canton.
You do not.
But I will in a heartbeat.
Right. How do you create businesses? What makes Canton attractive for businesses?
What makes Canton attractive? Think about the 2 flea markets. Think about the Christmas festival. People come to Canton for those things. So people will come. So what you have to do is right now, if you had a multiple different restaurants that are, just a variety of different restaurants around the square, people would come because you drive this way. It's easy to go. Look, if you've been to Two Rivers out at the interstate, he's packed selling $75 steaks, and nobody in there is from Canton. They're not there. We don't have, Canton doesn't have that kind of money. But these people will come to town. They like that square. They like looking at that. They like walking around and having a pleasant atmosphere. And we could put Mexican restaurants. We put everything on the square. If we put enough of them out there, they'll come. And then we take some of that 2% money that goes to tourism, and we do like Friday events, and we do bands outside. I've booked more bands than I can count. And we can get anybody to come play. We got enough money to do it. And then once you get those people there, the restaurants and all that thrive, and people are everywhere. I think at first the weekends will be the strongest. But we don't even do something as simple as a food truck weekend. a food truck weekend on the square. And, you know, at one time you didn't want to do it because you'd hurt the restaurants, but there ain't no restaurants. There's nothing. There's nothing. You've got to start with something. I know food truck people that if Canton was more conducive, because right now, if you have a food truck, they have all these weird hours and regulations. You're considered a transient vendor, meaning you only can open from 8 to 5 and you can't open on the weekends. So basically you have City Hall's hours for a food truck. And the food needs to be rolling out all the other times. And out there at that work site right now, you've got people out there that they can't even get a shower. And you bring in a shower truck and you can bring in food out there. Tons of money to be made. Tons.
Let me ask you this, man. So given your position on the school system in Canton now, and if I was the superintendent, why would I trust you as mayor to be supportive of the work that we're doing in the Canton Public School District?
Well, first, need to sit down.
You sound anti-Canton Public Schools.
Well, I'm not anti-Canton Public Schools. I am anti a lot of the administration at Canton Public Schools and even at City Hall and the people we put in place to do things for us. The bones of the city need help. You know, the CMU board has been a constant problem.
We're not talking about the CMU board.
I'm talking about Canton schools. It all comes together. The people in that room, the alderman in that room, and the mayor in that room decide who those people are going to be on those boards. That's who decides who's going to be on them. And if they're not picking right, you're not going to have a good board. And then that board hires the superintendent, I would assume. And so it doesn't roll. They extended
What would you do different? What would you do different? You still got to pick them. You still got to vote on them. What would you do different?
Well, I would look for better people to be on those boards if we don't like the people that are on them. If we think, you know, our people a lot of times in Canton, people don't get rotated on and off of boards. We don't do it that way. We just reassign, redo, let it all keep being the same. And that's the way the town runs. It runs like, oh, that's working this way. We'll just leave it like that and not worry about it. Meanwhile, we've run out of people.
Tell me the makeup of this board of trustees for the Canton Public Schools. Tell me the makeup and tell me if they've been recycled.
If they've what? I don't know currently. I'd have to pull the records. I don't have that.
But listen to what you're saying. What you just said, Chip. You're contradicting yourself.
I go to board meetings. I'll go to a board meeting. And they're saying we're just going to re-put that one on. The same thing happened at CMU and even at tourism. They just roll people over rather than put new people up every time. It's just a common occurrence in Canton.
So you're saying that, and I'm gonna take you at your word. You're saying they just roll people over, they reappoint, and they just keep going. Tell me about the makeup of this board, and if that is the case now.
I would say it is. I'd have
How
to
do
look
you
at it.
know it is?
I don't know that. I'll tell you I don't know it.
Right.
Because,
but you say these things.
Huh? Look, every time I go to a school board meeting, there's a few people I think are intelligent on that board and some that aren't. And, you know, you don't know who's on 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year, or 4 year, who's going to fall off. But usually the one that falls off goes right back on the board. And that's just the way it is.
But let's be honest. You do know those board members have terms.
Yes.
You know this. So
right.
it's not pie in the sky. It's right there. It's available for anybody to find out. Right. I would submit to you that you're just making accusations and you can't back any of this stuff up.
No, I'm saying that after all the times I have run and all the things that I've researched and all the things I've seen in Canton, it gets to a point that you just go, it's the same old shit. And you just don't want to deal with it. And I am just like everybody else in Canton. I don't want to deal with it. But I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to do this. I want to see the town flourish. I want to see the town back. I want to see weekends where, like something simple between both schools, where Canton Academy and Canton High School have a homecoming the same weekend where they can have a parade. Canton Academy doesn't have a band and all that, but you'd have a better parade. We need things where people gather, where everybody knows each other. You know, I don't know another way to tell you that we don't talk. We don't get together. And it's the same in Jackson. And it's the same everywhere. We don't gather like we once did. That's why the churches are empty. That's why the schools are are half-assed. I mean, the things that we need to be doing. Now, I saw the graduation the other day. That was a great crowd up there the other day for graduation. But, that's graduation.
If Jim Raspberry said, "What is your solution, Mr. Cain?" I'm not running for mayor. I'm trying to get the solutions out of Chip. Chip wants your vote. I don't want your vote. So I don't have to have solutions. But I know that I'm not going to just pull out of the sky and make these accusations and can't back any of it up. And that's what Chip is doing. That's what Chip is doing. Chip is just making all of these claims and he can't back any of it up. Not with facts. You can back it up with your feelings, but you can't back it up with facts.
Well, there's a lot of truth to that. And I'll also take up for you, anybody that feels that you're attacking me. I don't think you're attacking me. You're asking me to.
I think people use that word wrong.
Because you were asking me the questions to be informed, and I think that is great.
Right. This is kind of an attack. And those folk who would label that as an attack are unintelligent and they can't have real conversations, right?
Correct.
That's what I would say.
But what I tell you,
a conversation of me trying to pull out of you what your plan is for Canton and why should people support you. And people can't support you just based on a theory. But let's go here. You use the word corruption a lot, right? You use the word corruption almost every single day about Canton. You use the word corruption a lot. Talk to me a little bit about the corruption in Canton.
Okay, so we all know about the Rudy Warnock trial. Fixing to come up, probably its 14th delay if they cancel it one more time, but it's coming up on the 13th. And in that trial, you've got 2 aldermen who have already pled guilty to the crimes that they committed. And they are going to go to trial, and there's probably 2 more. Because you got to have 4, you got to buy 4 in order to have the votes you want, but 2 of them are going. And that is going forward. And Mike Essie's going to be testifying in that now that we know that. And it may go forward quicker. But that corruption that's deep-seated in the city hall, that was in city hall where this was occurring. And you also look at the elections. You tell me one election in Canton in the last 16 years where just the Democrat side, not the Democrat and Republican side, just the Democrat side couldn't get the game together. They all don't like the results and they just do it over and over. That's corruption. I've seen the corruption at the polling places. I've seen where Greg Green was way ahead and there was 3 of them running, 3 Democrats running, and Greg Green was ahead. He was going to at least be in the runoff. But they stopped counting votes because they couldn't get through counting 12 or 1,300 votes that night. And they said, we're going to have to put them in the vault. And we went to county. And we went from the county, and they said, we're going to have to lock them up at the city vault. So they locked them up at the city vault. Now, Greg Green had a good lead. And what happened? Greg Green I told him to sleep with those ballots. He was out. And then it was Truly and Arnell. Arnell won, but that's what happened. And you sit there and look at it and you go, that was corrupt. It was corrupt as it could be. I mean, 4 years ago, we had a ballot with my name in the top position and my name in the bottom position. And that is a known fact. This is corrupt. When things don't look exactly like they should, it's corrupt. And that's basic it. I watched, and this is honest. And if I could find the video on Facebook, I'd show it to you. I watched some Mexicans hit a car one night. The Mexicans didn't hit it. They got hit by the other car. They told the other car to leave the scene. When they left the scene, they told the Mexicans to push their car. And I got a video of it.
Who is they?
The police department.
Okay.
So they pushed the car down the road. Then they arrested 3 of the Mexicans and put them in the car and carried them to the Canton police station. I was with another gentleman, and we drove over to the Canton police station watching this. And all of a sudden, a group of Mexicans pulled up in a van, went over to the back door of the police station, gave them $2,500, and got everybody out. Nobody was booked. Nobody did anything, and they were carried off. And I reported it. Nothing was done. But that happens. And it was on Facebook. You could have gone on and looked at it at the time. And that was 8 years ago.
Right. What's the corruption today?
What's the corruption today? It's just more of the same. It's more the same. We have a black on brown problem, and the Mexicans, even the chief said it last year. He says they walk around with all that money. Well, it's your money. You should walk around with it. It shouldn't be a crime to put money in your pocket. They go, but if you have money in your pocket, you're gonna get robbed. Well, that's possibly true, but they're targeted and they steal the money. Then you had the 14-year-olds a few weeks ago that run through town and had a wreck with a police car. 2 of the 14-year-olds were flying out of the car, and one of them wound up paralyzed. That didn't make the news, but it happened. And then there were guns that were found up and down the street. These were 14-year-olds. And this happened about 3-4 weeks ago in Canton, going down the road. They were shooting up on P Street, coming down. And right when they got to where the Chinese restaurant is right there, they bailed out of the car. They had a wreck. The officer broke both ankles. But one of the kids was run over and paralyzed.
And I think that's real. I don't know that means corruption, but I think that's real. Tell me what's corrupt at City Hall.
What's corrupt at City Hall? Well, he'll be gone in a few months. Hate to say that, but truly has created a lot of the corruption for us he comes from an era of black politics being the disruptor. That's what it was in the 60s. Here today, it's the anniversary of the Freedom Riders. And they were all arrested. They didn't do anything wrong when they came to town, but they were arrested in Jackson, Mississippi on this date. And people fought for their rights to do everything, but we've gotten to a point in my beliefs that the kids that are the people above 40, we all got a little this, that, and the other in us. We don't understand something. But those kids that are 30 and under, black and white, they're dating each other. They're walking around with each other. They ain't studying us. We're a bunch of old people that don't know, stuck in our ways from way back. And that's what still goes on in our politics in Canton. It's black and white. You can't go into City Hall and find white people working. That's not allowed. It's DEI, whatever you want to call it or whatever. But you
said it's not allowed?
It's not allowed. It's not allowed. At one time, Truly was bragging about the fact that all the fire department had black people in it, no whites. Truly has always been against any whites being in government or working there. That's who he is. And he grew up at a different time. He's 10, 20 years older than me, but he came to Canton in 72. And I remember it well. I was 10. But I remember he was trying to get a job at the hospital, and it was a big story going around that he didn't have the kind of degree that they needed to get in the hospital, so it became an issue. But he has fought for what he's gotten, but he hadn't let it go. He hadn't become universal, I guess you could say. He is stuck in old politics, and a lot of older people are stuck there, And I understand that, and you have to deal with it. But black and white ain't what it used to be. And a lot of people don't realize that. And a lot of people don't get it. How do you get past that?
Yeah.
Well, that's culturally what you've got to do on your own. You've got to open your mind and think about it. But like when I sit in this restaurant and I see a group of 8 sit down at a table, and it's 4 blacks, 3 whites, it's every night. And that's the same way it is in Jackson. The youth of today don't see what we see. And the good kids are mixing. The bad kids are riding around with guns because their people that they look up to are thugs. And they go out and they shoot guns at 14 and 13. But
Carol has a question for you. She's asking, are you stuck? Are you stuck in a time warp?
Am I stuck? No, I'm not. I am not. Y'all, I have in my business has done everything I can. I own the party house on 18, as I bring up. And you know were you familiar with the party house?
I am.
Yes. That was the biggest black crowd in town for years. you know, and Yayo and Swift and all of us did it. And David Banner did his last show there right before when he made it big, burn it down. He didn't mean to burn it down, but it burned down on that Thanksgiving night. But I have always worked culturally with everybody. You know, I've worked with the ravers and all of these different people. These people need places to go and things to do. And there's so many people wanting to be together. And then there's so many people that think you shouldn't be together. And that's just something that life will let us get past all that. Time heals all wounds. And Canton has a lot of open wounds I'll just say it. White people went underground. And we all know that. White people said, oh, we'll never get the town back. They gave up. 4 generations of white people have not been involved in politics in Canton. And that's easy to say because it hadn't happened.
Chip, you contribute that to the population shift in the city?
No, I can't do that because the people in the community do business with the white people that used to be in office.
No, what I'm saying is the population of Canton,
right?
Black versus white, just numbers, just the population.
I would say in some neighborhoods, in some of those wards, they will vote for a black just as quick as they'll vote for a white. And they'll vote. I mean, there's the question. I understand what you're saying. You're saying that because it's 77% black, it should be mostly black. And I agree. It should be more black. But what I'm saying is in some of these wards, and it has happened in the last few years, you had I forgot who the white lady was that was in office before Lafayette. She came out of nowhere. I didn't know who she was. And she moved to Canton. She won. She became an alderman. But the crap was so knee deep up there. She says, I can't stay here. I can't do that. And it runs good people off when you have as much crap that goes on in Canton. You do a bond issue to fix flooding, and then you take the money and you spend it on buying new police cars. You can't do that.
Here's a question from Donna Yowell. I think that's how you pronounce your name. What about high crime areas? What is the population equation?
Well, as far as the population equation, I wouldn't know how to even take that. But I would say that in the apartment complexes, in high density areas where people are, that is where your crime is. But that's also where your drugs are being sold. And all of that's in that area. I mean, it's over there at Canton, those Canton apartments over there. You have how do you get past the shooting? It's like the shooting at the gas station the other day where the girl's sitting in her car in broad daylight, 1 o'clock, and they just pull up and get out of the car and start running around the car, emptying guns. That's all on tape. That's all fact. But these people are targeting people, and they all live in that high crime area, you could say. But if we had a police presence there all the time, it could get better. It's going to get better until you're watching it. If you're not watching, everybody will do whatever. And if you don't start arresting some people and enforcing some laws, even the speeding laws are ridiculous. Nobody does that. They think put a speed bump up fixes everything. 14-year-olds don't care about speed bumps. They just hit the gas pedal and go, And these 14-year-olds, by the way, don't have a license.
Shayna Whitehead says her ward is diverse and her support was heavy. Her ward is a melting pot where they love each other. She is a newly elected alderwoman.
And that's what I'm telling you. That is the new Canton. That is what's going on. The younger people, that's what's going on. They all get along. We always all got along. We just always had our people that wanted to make it a black-white issue. There's always some redneck or some thug that's going to say something that nobody likes. It's just like Chip, he comes to Canton. He only comes to Canton during election time. No, I live there all the time. I always have lived there, and I'm always there. But it gets hard, like to open a business on the square until the safeness comes back to the town, until the leadership in the town shows that you want the square to be full of people. You want businesses on that square. Until you get that going, you're not going to be able to fix Canton at all.
But don't you think you could lead by example by opening a business on the square? You could say, I'm running for mayor. I know the value of small businesses. I know the value of supporting local by opening up your own business back.
Yes, I do want to open a business back, and I said I would, and I will. But the reality is this: to go up to Canton like it currently sits and open up a restaurant, you will be out of business. Just like, what was it, Z's that was over there on the other side, on the tourism side? They tried. Benitez, they tried. You cannot go do it solo. You got to do it as a team effort, and you got to come out and do it right. And that's what you got to do. And you got to have the community. Like, for instance, I did a beer festival. I did an Elmore James festival, and all the city did was, once it was successful, which was try to get involved with it and take it over. Festivals and stuff like that, I know how to do. That's my forte. I've done more concerts than I can imagine.
Right,
but,
I agree. I remember that. I know that about it.
But the reality is, in order to make it work, you've got to, it's just like a food truck day where you have 7 food trucks. You'll get more people to show up for 7 food trucks, and they will all do well, than you will one sitting out in the middle of the highway. And basically in Canton, you're one sitting out in the highway on a square that blacks don't come to the square and the whites don't come to the square. Nobody from Canton comes to the square. So you've got to go and find those customers in another market. You need a big bang to occur where they say there's 8 new restaurants on the square. We're going to Canton. We ain't got to worry about what we're going to eat because they got diversity. They have all kind of stuff. We get there and eat. That's the way it's got to happen. It's got to be like that in order to make it happen. One or two restaurants just ain't gonna get it done. And several of the times when I've tried it, I've had 3 restaurants on the square at one time. I had a pizza place.
I have spent my life creating parks, beautification, and poor communities, but my landscapes get stolen. I have led by example and will continue. She loves Canton. That's good. I mean, you got to
love Canton.
Canton is great. Hannah says, I have reached out to several restaurant owners. They are very interested in investing in our city and tech developers. I believe that reading Alderwoman Whitehead's come in and reading Donna's come in, I really do believe that it really takes innovative leadership.
Yes.
It takes people who don't just see the problems in Canton, but they are intentionally working on creating a better Canton. Not just identifying corruption, not just identifying the problem, but they are working intentionally to create a better Canton.
I agree with that. And Donna, I talk to Donna all the time. Now, Ms. Whitehead, I haven't spoken with her, but she is absolutely right. And I know restaurant owners. I was on the air today on Kim Wade's show. I filled in for him today, and we talked. I had Fred Cerami with me. He will open up a restaurant in Canton. Other restaurateurs, we know plenty that would come to Canton and open, but it's got to be safe, and it's got to be a better atmosphere. That's just fact. It's not the greatest atmosphere. That would be like us going down to the zoo and saying we're going to open up 7 restaurants at the zoo and we're going to be open every Friday night and it's going to work. No, there's a lot more that's got to be fixed before you can get to the zoo in Jackson. You got to fix the roads and this, that, and the other. Canton, it's like Renaissance. It's like looking at Renaissance in Jackson, in Ridgeland. You got this whole layout already built, and you need to sit down with investors and people that run small businesses and fill those buildings up. It's that simple.
I'm curious as to how do you garner Black support? Because you're going to need it.
Hold on. How do I garner what?
How do you garner Black support in Canton? Black voters. How do you get Black voters to support you?
You start leading by example. You get out there and be the one that's out there cleaning the streets and all of that. You be out there and they see you doing your job. Your job as mayor is basically a glorified garbage collector. You are in charge of the agenda and you are in charge of the people that work for the city. When the city isn't clean, they should be able to call you and say, the city isn't clean. What's the problem, Mayor? Why isn't this road cut? Why is this road not done? That's the problem. And then you hand it off to the alderman. The alderman tell you, you're that guy. So at one part, you are every department at one time, you are in charge of making sure garbage is picked up. You're making sure the police is doing their job. You're making sure the fire department's doing their job. You're making sure that the rating for the city is got a good rating where the insurance is better on everybody's house. And, you know, that's what you do. You do your job. And then on top of doing your job, you are now the face for economic development. You also got to be the cheerleader for the town. You got to constantly keep people pumped up so that they feel like they want to do it. And if I'm going to pump anybody up, it won't be the old white folks in Canton because there ain't many of them. It will have to be the black community. They will have to be propped up. The thing I always remember as a child, the first time that black and white was really together, first parade that I remember where it was occurring, L.C. Greenwood won the Super Bowl. L.C. Greenwood came to town. He brought everybody with him. He rode around that square. Everybody was Pittsburgh Steelers fans except for the sorry Cowboy fans. I just go ahead and throw that in. But he came to town and rolled around. Then I've been to school board meetings where I go, why does that man not have a statue standing 8 feet tall in front of that stadium?
Who knows who he is now, though, bro?
Huh?
Who knows who he is now?
Well, if you look up to him, you'd know who he is. A few years ago,
I don't know who he is, but what I'm saying to you is, who knows who he is now? Those kids don't know who he is. They can't plug it.
No, they don't. But let's put it this way: if you've
been talking all of this time and you have not said the magic word, you've got to create some jobs in Canton. You've got to put these young people to work, right? You want to change the crime dynamics in Canton? Put people to work.
Well, the jobs are there with the small businesses.
Where
the jobs are there.
Where are the small businesses? Where are the small businesses?
I'm going to go get them. I'm going to get them into town. Plus, you have all those jobs that look, everybody in the world says we'll do a job training program and we'll go out here and get you jobs out there at the new Amazon plant, this, that, and the other. All we ever produce in Canton is security guards. We don't produce people that get out and go get educated. We got some educated people, but they leave town. They move to Gluckstadt. When somebody makes a good amount of money, they leave town. They don't.
You got educated people. First of all, you don't believe in your school system in Canton. As the mayor, you have to believe in your school system. Second of all, there are no jobs in Canton. You've got to put people to work. That's where your plan should be.
Yeah, and that only is going to be. There are only going to be jobs if you create jobs, and those jobs have to be small businesses coming to town. That's all we can do. The small businessman is what will save Canton.
Yeah,
Believe
Jim Raspberry said it best, and this is a very good statement from Jim. Jim says it can't be done by just the white folks or just the black folks. We have to figure out how to do it together. We've got to create some jobs in Canton. You really want to see a decrease in crime? Put people to work.
Oh, I agree. But like right now, you have no place to go. You know, everything has left town that ever got there. You know, you had Madison Furniture. My mama worked there 40 years, 50 years. When it went away, a lot of jobs went away. It wasn't replaced. We don't replace the jobs that are in Canton. What has L.C. Greenwood done for Canton or Canton Public Schools? Put them on the map, Tavarius. But anyway, I was looking at one of the comments. But I mean, Canton, in order to have jobs right now, they're service industry jobs. They're, you know, and they can't fill those jobs at McDonald's and all that. And that's not a job you want. That's not a real job. That you want a good job. But when you get that good job now, it's in Madison or Ridgeland or Jackson, and you make money. And what are you going to do? Take that money and live in a shack in Canton? No, we need better housing in Canton to help people. You know, it's so much little things that have to be done to make the big things work. And the big thing, when you say we got to have jobs, the only people we can get jobs from right now, immediately, there's 100 contractors out at the out there at the mega site right now. 3,000 people working. There's no place to sleep, no place to eat, no place to take a shower. And I've talked with them, and they, you know, you got to do something to help them. But the other side of that is 3,000 people and no place to live, no place to work. And then they're taking the jobs that people from Canton could have, but they're not skilled enough to go run a backhoe or run a bulldozer, which is where we're at right now. Later on, it'll be wiring buildings and this, that, and the other. Is everybody skilled for that? The junior colleges will teach you all of that. But unless you feel like you need to go learn that to get one of those great jobs, you're not going to go do it. I mean, what do you do? I mean,
Well, let me tell you, here's what I think you do. I think you've got to get a trained workforce in Canton.
yes,
I think you've got to create jobs that pays a livable wage for the people. You want to combat crime, you want to get a handle on crime, put people to work.
correct.
Put them to work, right?
Correct.
And you know what else you do? You can't downplay Canton Public Schools. You got to lift them up, right? If you think there are problems in the Canton Public School District, what are you doing to help? You've got to invest in the Canton Public School District, right? If you think board of trustees at the Canton Public School District, if you think they're recycled, by the way, you've not answered that question, but you made that accusation.
Well, I will tell you what, I will find out and get back with you on it.
Yeah, but finding out and getting back to me does very little for just tossing bad information out there.
Okay.
Right?
Well, you say it's bad, but you're not accurate either.
Accurate about what?
You don't know that it isn't that way.
But nor did I make the claim, Chip. Right. You're the one who made the claim.
Yes, I am the one that made the claim, and I will go check it.
Make the claim. I'm simply asking you. The burden is on you to prove, because you're saying all this ridiculous stuff. The burden is on you to prove, right? Listen, I am looking for a full plan from Chip Matthews about how do you fix Canton. I'm not looking for all of these accusations that you've been making for the last 20, 25 years about Canton. I'm looking for some real solutions from you, man.
Well, the only way to give you the solutions is to get into office. That's it. I mean, look at it this way. Is it going to be any better with Tim Taylor in office? Is it going to be any better with anybody else? When plans don't work, you need to get somebody else in office. When they're not working, they're not working. I mean, we got 7 violations from DEQ today for sewage in our water. They haven't come out and told us about that. That's on WLBT. You'll know it. You can see that there. We have things that are occurring in the community that nobody tells us. At least I will tell everybody what's going on. I'll be honest and open. We need that. We need honest and open. And
I think transparency in government is very important. I think transparency is very, very, very important. But there is a clear and stark difference between transparency and a bunch of hot air.
Oh, I agree. There's a whole lot of difference. But unfortunately, politicians come with hot air. And the only way you're ever going to know if a guy can fix it is you're going to have to give him a chance. And he's going to have to fix it when he does it. It will be harder for me as a white guy to do anything in Canton because everybody will be on my ass to make sure I do it. And I will get it done.
Yeah,
I'm that guy.
That's no.
You're not gonna let me leave on that one.
Okay, fine. Listen to me.
Okay.
I find it hard to believe that you really want to be mayor for Canton. If I'm honest with you, I find it very hard to believe that you really want to be mayor of Canton, and I find that hard to believe for several reasons. But here's the one in particular: you endorsed Tim Taylor for me.
I'd supported him in the Democratic primary because Camelia Walker, was being supported by Mayor Truly. And Mayor Truly's politics has got to leave Canton. Period. If you're connected to Mayor Truly, that's got to leave. Now, the rest of that trial now is all about lawyers and who's going to have the jobs to play with the money in the
None of that trial was about Mayor Truly, sir. None of that trial was.
No, but but you know that he testified and what he said, and he, we know that he supported Camelia Walker and he gave her money, but according to him, he didn't, but he did.
No, that's not true, Chip. He said he gave her money on the stand.
Yes. Yeah.
So you lied again. See, this is why I can't take you serious, man, because you're just full of lies, man. He said on the stand that he supported her financially in her campaign. He said that. So why sit here and lie? Well,
I mean, you know, and I know that he supported her, and that was a fact. And he said he did. He said he did. He said he did.
Hide that.
But it's just like you didn't hear everything I heard the day or the day before, and he's also denied that he did it, just like the person got on the stand and denied that he didn't know it was a cousin.
So all I can tell you is what I heard on the stand. You were in the courtroom with me. You heard the exact same thing, and for you to say that he said he didn't do it, and on the stand he said he did, I can't take you serious, man.
Well, that was why he was cross-examined. Earlier, he had said he didn't. That's why the cross-examination went there to ask him if he did. Just like you didn't hear that part. Now you went back and
hold on. Wait, we're gonna go to that young man, right? We're gonna go to that young man, but hang on, go back. Okay. That's not why Truly was cross-examined, right? That's he did not deny it when Barber's team was questioning him about his support for Camellia Walker. Hell, he was their witness. What are you talking about?
Yes, I didn't say her. I said in the cross-examination from Lisa Ross.
What you said was he admitted it during cross-examination, but you said he didn't. He denied it during his initial testimony, and that's not true.
No, he did a testimony, and they did a cross, and then he came back as an adverse witness.
Right.
You remember that?
I can't take you serious, man, because you just talked about all this stuff. But you're right. You're right. I recorded it, but did not hear it because I had 50 million things going on of that young man who said that he did not vote. But of course, we found him to be a liar. He had to come back. Now that's the person that you can say was a liar.
Yes, I can't say that. And he also said it was a misunderstanding. He thought she said own instead of no. I mean, the reality is,
he said that he thought the question was, do you owe OWE, Miss Walker, instead of KNOW, no. That's what he said.
Yeah. And then of course you also had, you had the other testimony.
Anyway, let's wrap
get
up.
away from that. Let's get away from all that.
Let's wrap up with this. So the judge has not ruled. The judge requested some more information from both sides. And wanted them to prove, right? Wanted them to show law and prove some of the things that they were talking about. So we don't know when he will rule, but it's getting close to the wire, man.
Yes, it is. It's very close. And the reality is, the people that they're speaking of, yes, it did happen. It's like Barbara's original trial. They changed their direction. At first, it was going to be about the boxes. And, nobody still explained why Jennifer Branning's and Kitchen's ballots were in a Canton election box. Nobody's explained that yet.
And it doesn't make a difference. It's not like they looked at those 2024 ballots and said, oh, we're going to use this 2024 ballot and toss it in for this mayor's race. It didn't really matter.
But it does matter because that's the integrity of keeping an election together. That's what you're supposed to do. So now you're showing that those boxes were not.
Hold on. Don't move from that. Don't move from this. Stay right there.
Okay.
With that ballot in that bag, how did that change the election? How did it not change? How did it affect the election for mayor in Canton in any way?
Okay. It only shows that the chain of custody was not kept.
That's just not show that.
You don't prove how they got in there or not. They're not supposed to be there. If everybody went to City Hall and did what they were supposed to, and everybody got empty boxes.
My question, sir, with that 2024 judicial ballot in one of those bags or boxes, how did it impact the Canton mayoral election?
It did not, other than chain of custody, which was what Barbara Blackman's argument was at first.
It did not impact it at all.
No, but it was what her argument was the chain of custody.
Right.
Correct.
And so if this was a trial for voter integrity, for election integrity, if this was a trial for election upkeep, if this was a trial, if Dr. Anderson was on trial, then I could see that point. We're talking about a young lady who went to court to contest the election results.
And let me say
did nothing to prove that.
Okay, when I get to that, let me go back to this. I'm not saying Dr. Anderson. I'm saying the county clerk was involved. I mean, she's the one who's supposed to secure the boxes in between elections. You tell me. I mean, she's not. Those ballots shouldn't have been
What
in there.
impact did it have on the election?
It shows that there was a chain of custody problem, and the chain of custody.
How did that show it was a chain of custody problem?
Because it's not supposed to be there. Why can't you open a box on election day and in the box be able to recreate that polling precinct's election day? That's what you're supposed to do.
And they did not.
No, it did not do that because nobody voted for them that day. Why is that stuff in that box?
Right. But
okay.
It did not affect the outcome of the race.
No. And then, but I also do admit that in Barbara's argument that these people should have been added to the poll, and the mayor was negligent and the board of aldermen for not making sure these people were added to the polls when they were annexed into the area. I believe that too.
So are you saying nobody was added to the system?
No, some were, but not everybody. And none of them were done in a timely manner because the law says when you take in that area, you have to do it within 10 days according to the statute. We annexed that area 3 years ago.
Got it.
So 10 days have expired.
I got it. Hey, man, we're over time. We got to get out of here. You got some closing thoughts, man. I don't really, to be totally honest with you, I don't think you want to be mayor for Canton.
Well, the truth is, I want to rebuild the town. I want it to be what it wants to be. I'm a one-term mayor, no matter what I do. So I can fix that town. I can rebuild it. I can make it the place that you want to be. When you take that 119 exit and come into Canton, you're going to be happy. And that's the facts. That's the period it. I want to thank you for letting me be on your show. And I enjoy it.
Always a lively conversation. I appreciate you, Chip. Thank you, man.
Come on my show on the radio sometime.
I'm ready. Just say when.
Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. 6 a.m.
Okay. Take care, man. Thank you very much.
You too. Bye.
Jim Matthews, he is seeking the office of mayor for the city of Canton, Mississippi. So the election is just a few days away. The election is just a few days away. Even with this court thing looming over the heads of the voters in Canton, the general election is just a few days away. Thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. We do appreciate it. Have a great night, everybody. Exit 119. Let's make Canton better. Take care, everybody. Bye.